Okay. Hey, good afternoon and welcome to the EHA Board Meeting of Commissioners, March 24th, 2025, regular meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order and roll call. Vice Chair Andrews.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Burgess.
Present.
Commissioner Manvel.
Present.
Commissioner Perez.
Present.
And Commissioner Trainer.
Present.
We're all here. At this particular time, I'd like to call for any public comment. Commenters are limited to 2 minutes. Do we have any?
I have a concern about social security. You know, there's a lot of payments that are stopped. How is it affecting us here in Everett? You guys know anything about that?
Yeah, we don't have anything to do with social security. With the housing authority doesn't administer and determine regarding social security, so we wouldn't have any information.
Well, there was stopped payments. I was wondering how it affected us here.
Yeah, it wouldn't, the only effect it would have is if somebody on social security didn't get a payment. They go to bank that right.
Then they have to go to social security administration
Right.
office.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And I don't think they have any more commenters to my knowledge. So let's go to the communication section. And are there any communications? Hearing none, we will now move to the executive director's report. Mary Swenson, would you please provide?
And I have a lot to report. We had a very successful trip to Washington DC. And Commissioner Andrews may be joining us. I just talked to her a little bit ago. She was just right in the middle of something, so she said she may be a little late. But she attended.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are, Cynthia.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know if you wanna, give a little report on DC following my comments, but I thought it was a very successful trip. We had 4 of us attend. Cynthia Andrews, who were representing the commissioners, myself, Kristen Payne and Erica Diaz. We had, several meetings. We met with Maria Cantwell's office, Senator Cantwell's office, Senator Murray's office, Congressman Rick Larson and Congressman Del Benny. So we had individual meetings with those folks, and then we met as a group with NARA with Senator Patty Murray and also Maria Cantwell, and I think those were the 2.
So Del Benny too, right?
In Del Benny, yeah. So, it was a very interesting time to be in DC. There's a lot going on there. It was depressing, but at the same time, we're really glad that we went because not only did we get to, be in rooms with like-minded people that were going through the exact same thing that we were going with, a lot of uncertainty, but it also gave us a little reassurance that with the continuing resolution that we would probably be okay for a time period, which then the continuing resolution was actually approved. I think on that Friday or Saturday. So all in all, a really good meeting. We are going to put in some funding requests. And that will be for the demolition of the park district, which I think we have the best chance of getting funding for. We're also putting in requests at the state level too. So anyhow, all in all, really good meeting. Commissioner Andrews, do you want to add anything about the DC trip?
Well, I just want to share that we did have a wonderful time. It was very sobering. But also, I want to commend you, Mary, for setting up or having your folks set up time for us to meet, not once, but twice, with our delegation and their staff to have one-on-one conversations. And I know that's very difficult at this time. And I felt very fortunate that we were able to sit in front of our folks and have those conversations. So thank you very much for the work that you put into this trip.
Yeah, one thing that I didn't add is, we have retained Strategy 360 to do some work for us. And, the owner, Ron Dotzauer, actually joined us in DC and went to the meetings with us, which was really, he has a wealth of knowledge and he's really well known among our delegation, so that was extremely helpful. And we also had a follow-up meeting the next day, with representatives from that DC office talking about how we should put in the proposals for funding, and give us some really good insight on that. So we will be following up with that. The other thing, so Olympia is still in session, as Commissioner Trainer could attest to. And I'm gonna be heading to Olympia on April 3rd, so Commissioner Trainer, if you're available, maybe we can have a cup of coffee or something. I think I'm gonna be down there most of the day. So hopefully we can get some funding from the state too. We'll see. Things are pretty tight down there right now, but that doesn't mean there isn't money available for a variety of things. So I also want to introduce Sharitha. She is our new HR director. And we are so excited to have her. She has really immediately kind of dropped into our team and feels like we've been here forever, which is a really good thing. And so the team is really starting to come together. I couldn't be happier about that. And the positive vibe that's happening in this office now, it's really good. We have finance director interviews scheduled for April 4th, which is on a Friday, which is typically not a day I do interviews on, but it worked for some of the folks that were interviewing. So we're going to be interviewing 3 people for that position. 2 of the applicants are federal employees that are in jeopardy of losing positions. So it's a good news, bad news thing. But I'm excited to get that like the last member of the team before we move to the executive position. So all good news. And then Greg Crossman, who is leading the search for GMP for the executive director. We have met with him and there'll be some follow-up meetings that will be scheduled with the commissioners and then also internal staff too. So that's moving in the right direction. So then the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly was the community benefit agreement committee that we had going with 3 of the commissioners, Commissioner Trainer, Commissioner Burgess, and Commissioner Andrews. And I think that at this point, we've kind of done the work that we need to do on that committee, and it's probably time to just suspend it at this point. So since it was adopted by a resolution, I thought it was important to just bring it to the commission, just mention that. So I don't know if anybody has anything that they'd like to add to that. Okay. That's
Yeah,
all
I
have.
would like to.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'd like to say something about that. It was great that we were able to speak as a group regarding community workforce agreements and the benefits that it could bring to the community and the city of Everett. I know the city of Everett's been working hard on a very similar project labor agreement over the last few years, as well as Snohomish County. It definitely is a positive thing for all workers within the city and the county. But at this juncture and where we're at with some of these different projects and timelines and what it looks like, it is best to put it on hold. So Mary, thank you very much for being a champion of this as well.
Thank you.
I'd like to add that, yeah, thank you, by the way, for all of that. And I do think that we definitely should revisit this at some point in the future when things kind of stabilize with the way the world is right now. So, and revisit it in the future.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we will move to the approval of the minutes. For they were in your board packet, the regular meeting held on February 24th, 2025. And I need a motion to approve these minutes.
Move for approval.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed? And any abstentions? Okay. Next, we want to move to the consent agenda, so I'll call for a single motion on this one. It will include the section 8 payments for the months of January and February 2025, and the summary of vouchers for the months of January and February 2025 as well. Motion.
Motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any against? Any? Great, we'll move forward. Next is public hearing. The Board of Commissioners will now convene in a public hearing to receive comments on proposed PHA 5-year plan, Need to Work Supplement, and Capital Fund 5-year action plan effective July 1st, 2025. The floor is now open to receive comments on these documents. Each commenter will be limited to 2 minutes. So do we have any commenters? Not hearing any? Okay, I will call for a motion to adjourn the hearing.
Motion adjourn, or move to adjourn.
Wait, all those in favor? We got a second too, Jim.
Okay, good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, any against? Nope. Alrighty, next we'll move for the items for individual consideration. Resolution number 1611 in our packets, adopting the PHA 5-year plan, Move to Work Supplement, and CFP 5-year plan effective July 1st, 2025. And I'll have the Director and Policy of Innovation, Janina Addick, to introduce.
Thank you, Chair Smith. And so you all just heard the public hearing as well. So this is kind of a culmination of the public process, the staff development process and public process that we undertake. We do it annually, and then this year is also a 5-year plan. And so with this 5-year plan, we did make a couple of minor edits. So the board voted on the updated mission statement, and then we also did some rewording to one of our strategic objectives, just in alignment with some of the changes that we're seeing at the federal level to make sure that, we're not jeopardizing our funding. So those are really the two primary changes. And then this year we were not requesting any additional MTW waivers. We have a number of waivers that have already been approved by HUD. And so we're sort of in the process of implementing and evaluating the existing waivers, and then looking at whether we need to request additional waivers in the next fiscal year. So this resolution essentially adopts the those plan documents, and authorizes Chair Smith and Mary to sign certifications and for us to submit everything to HUD. And I do have those paper copies for us to sign at the end of the meeting. So yeah, happy to entertain any questions from commissioners.
No questions?
None.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve at the end of the presentation. If you guys have no questions, do you have a motion? What I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Copy.
Aye.
All those against? Okay. We got it matching there, so we are moving forward. Next up is resolution number 1612, revising the housing choice voucher program, utility allowances. Director of Rental Assistance, Melanie Pinkleton, did I say it right? Pilkington, sorry, I should just say Melanie.
Okay, so the purpose of this is to just update our utility allowance schedule as we do annually. To coincide with the increased or decreased costs throughout the county, and then also to kind of coincide our utility schedule with the Housing Authority of Snohomish County, the same annual basis and utility allowance. And so just for background, the utility allowances estimate the total cost that a housing choice voucher participant household is required to pay for their essential utilities and appliances, which is then factored into the household's share of the monthly rent. And so we are required to update this annually. and to revise any allowances that have changed, either by 10% upward or downward. And so for this year, after the survey that was conducted by Nelrod, who we've used in the past few years, it was determined that the other electric rates, the water and sewer for the area, have each increased, and that the fuel oil has decreased. And so the utility allowance schedules are added there for review. And if you have any questions, take any questions.
I have a question, Emily. I'm at Woodhaven and I'm paying about $150 for electricity. And
Okay.
bond is about 54, so I'm probably going over 200.
And that's for just your electric?
Just well,
Electric, water, and sewer.
water, garbage, and all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's for a 1-bedroom unit.
Yes.
Okay, and that does go along pretty much with what we've got on our utility allowance schedule. So ours are just an estimate based upon averages throughout the area, and then individual utility bills could vary slightly from what our allowances provide.
When I got here about 9 months ago, it was about $120 and about $20 per month. Now it's gone up to 150, and PUD is 54.
Yeah, so they definitely did increase, and so at your next annual recertification, you'll see your allowance increase as well to better reflect those.
I saw that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Do we have any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the conclusion of on her presentation for resolution number 1612. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any against? Hearing none, we will move to resolution number 1613, adopting a vehicle take-home policy. Director of Rental Assistance, Melanie, to introduce.
Thank you. Okay, so the purpose of this policy establishes some guidelines for our employees to take home their work vehicles and keep them at their residence overnight. This is mainly to fulfill several objectives, enhancing emergency preparedness and response by distributing vehicles across the county, optimizing our workforce reliability by providing employees with their ready transportation, and prioritizing available parking spaces for residents and tenants at EHA properties, since vehicles would remain largely off-site excuse me, during the overnight hours. And so throughout the policy, we just split. Have added in, of course, some requirements for our staff regarding using the vehicles for work-related use, safety compliance, parking and security. All vehicles are also equipped with GPS monitoring systems, which we closely monitor to make sure that they're being used properly.
Do we have any questions from?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, only for my own purpose. What happens if it's misused, if the privilege is misused? Take away the vehicle or what?
Yep, take away the vehicle and it could, result in, performance management and then up to termination if that's what was determined.
So this is across the board for like the maintenance workers, not just those that are on call that particular vehicle.
Correct, so it'd be for inspection vehicles and maintenance vehicles.
The policy allows for it based on kind of agency needs, so it's sort of position agnostic, but you're presenting it because the initial intent is really it's our inspectors that we've identified for our voucher program that we've identified as the primary need.
I got a question regarding personal use and business use. Will there be tracking of that at the beginning of the year?
Correct, yeah, with the GPS monitors, we'll be tracking that to make sure that they're just going.
Okay, yeah, I think this is fantastic. I think it's way more efficient as well.
Yeah, this is, so I worked at Hasco for almost 13 years as our inspectors, that was the policy, we didn't have on-site parking. Like, we didn't have a place where the vehicles could be locked up, so they've been taking their vehicles home for years, so it's pretty common in the industry.
That's awesome. Great, thank you.
So if there's no more further questions, I'd like to call for a motion to approve resolution
Motion made.
16. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Any against? No, okay, we will move on to the approval of the financial statements for the quarter end December 31st, 2024. Consultant Sandy Langdon to introduce.
Thank you. Sure. We'll give a summary of what we call our 4 buckets of areas, and that's the supporting programs of 4 properties, nonprofits, and the tax credits. And then your packet had the details of each of the properties in those. So as a supporting programs summarize, we're looking at income of we received 94% of the budget. And our operating expenses, excuse me, are at 98.9% of budget. I have revenue was higher than expected budget. And our developer fees, we have not yet received, but we did receive some funding that we were actually counting on the prior year. We received at the beginning of this year, so that would look better on the cash portion of our supporting programs. Expenses are under budget. Core properties income is at 76.4% of budget. Operating expenses are at 68.6% and 70%. Rental income is down slightly. Transfer from reserves was down to capitalization, and we're working on this. As we talked about in the budget committee, there is when we have capital projects, we budget for it. But when we expend it, we want to move that back to our balance sheet, the assets. So we journalize that out, and it makes it look like our budget's a little higher than it is. And also our reserves, we transfer it into expenses, and those also are adjusted too. So we're going to look at how to present that a little bit cleaner. So you're seeing just your operating revenues, operating expenses, and then non-operating activity will fall below. So you can see those buckets a little bit better in each of those groupings. We're working on that. We haven't got there yet. In Huntington Park, in this group, we had financials. They have Brightstar is our management company. We hadn't loaded the December information into the system yet, so this is missing December's portion for Huntington Park. So we'll update that once that happens. Nonprofit properties income is at 80% of budget. So expenses are at 64%. And transfers from reserve down to capitalization. So the expenses, that's what I was talking about in core properties too. So that shows when you're seeing, 80% of your income and that 64% of your expenses, you think, wow, we're really underspent. But we actually spent those capital. It's just that the budget doesn't reflect that expenditure. Same thing that will happen in the tax properties too. So our income is at 87.5% of budget. Operating expenses of 84.8%. They're really tracking very close on the tax credits, which is not unusual from what I've seen in the past. Rental income is slightly above budget, and the bad debts are higher than expected at this point. We'll see how that factors in once we close the year. There are non-operating items such as we had sponsor loans that were paid after the end of the year, which we waived. There's nothing that's a debt schedule for those. It depends on how each of those properties are doing. We did have some payments back to that, and so that isn't budgeted, but it falls in our expenses. So sometimes it inflate the expenses and also increase them. So we're also looking at how to better present that so that you're seeing just the operating income and then all the things that happen to make that property function. And that's my summary.
Great, thank you.
Do we have any questions from the board of commissioners?
No.
Okay, I will say a huge thank you for considering like a different sort of presentation for us, so we get all the moving pieces, so thank you. Okay. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the financial statements for the quarter ending December 31st, 2024. Do I have a motion? Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, any, I don't think there's any to be against. So we will move forward to next, we're gonna do an executive session. So the board will now adjourn into an executive session at 12:26 for the period of 1 minute,
Maybe 15.
15 minutes. So that's like that math. There you go. I can't do it today. Well, sorry.
So returning at 12:41.
12:41, thank you. And the performance of a public employee pursuant to RCW 42-30-12. The board will now come out of executive session to extend it another 5 minutes, so we're out at 12:41. And we'll be going back into executive session at 12:41 to resume at 12:46.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
No return to Everett probably until 2 or 3 days later. Gotta close down the office.
Okay.
Any talk of extending the session, John?
They will not.
Not from your standpoint, but.
Well, they will not, but that doesn't mean they won't have a special session, but
Special session.
yeah, I don't know if that's, I mean, they're gonna do one, I guarantee it. Well, I can't guarantee it, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's gonna be
That's what
awesome.
I'm confused.
Yeah. It's gonna be gross.
To what, approve the budget?
I'm not gonna comment on a recording for public consumption.
Sorry, I forgot.
The board is reconvening in public session with no action taken in the executive session. So right now it's just adjournment. The next regular board meeting is at noon, Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. And this meeting will be on a Tuesday due to the Memorial Day holiday. So I now just need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Okay, there we go.
It was good seeing everybody. Hearing from you, Cynthia. It's nice we had everybody. That's awesome.
I know, I'm in my car, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. You're here.